On the profile interview segment this week, I'll be speaking with the International Labour Organization Director General. He tells me what shapes the intention of his visit to Nigeria, and also told me some of the planned activities for the International Labour Organization. Thank you very much for your time. You're back in Nigeria the second time, but the first time as the ILO DG. Can you tell us what's your mission here in Nigeria?
Well, we have a chance to discuss that maybe in Geneva. Nigeria is such a major player in ILO in general, but particularly in ILO agenda worldwide. Secondly, we have a major office here and our activity in Nigeria. All of that now that we have President Houngbo has been almost 2 years now. It's important for me to be here to take stock on our partnership, our collaboration with one of our major member states.
What has been the feedback from the employers of labor? What has been the feedback from workers and maybe from government or from the ILO office here also in Nigeria?
Listen, since yesterday there's been non-stop and therefore very, very rich discussion. On one hand, everybody recognizes the leadership that Nigeria institutionally has always been demonstrating. Obviously, we talk about the courageous decision from an economic standpoint that the government has to make to correct what all that seemed to be imbalanced from an economic viewpoint. Then with that, the serious concern by workers, by trade unions about the severe impact on those decisions on the cost of living. And that cost of living, we know already was a problem in the whole world, not just in Nigeria, but you could feel in the inflation. And so the need to balance the economic measures and ensuring that the inequalities are not increasing, that the workers still have a minimum living wage is become a serious matter.
Talking about the world of work generally and the challenges that the world is facing, especially about earning a living wage. What's your view about President Donald Trump's withdrawal of foreign aid? How does that affect the working populace going forward?
First of all, I think we need to respect what the administration, the President Trump administration has decided. It's a sovereign member state. The United States is an important member of ILO, so ILO, we are respecting that, which I think is important. Secondly, it is my understanding and belief that what has been requested now is a pause, so to give the administration time to assess the foreign aid, to assess the activity, and we are looking forward to this assessment. From ILO perspective, I do think that there's a lot of what we're doing. We are obviously ready to engage. We do think that a lot of our activities go beyond the concept of foreign aid. It's when we talk about the normative agenda of ILO, it's a matter of ensuring that when it comes to labor rights, when it comes to labor standard and convention, we all are playing on a leveled playing field. So that is not just a matter of development, it's not just a matter of foreign aid, it's a matter of all of us abiding by the same agreed rule. So I think we will be ready to engage on that. So it's simple. Let's be honest. The U.S. is an important player in international development, and this decision, be it temporary, affects every part of the world. On that, am I concerned that can have an impact on the global development? Yes. But we also need to be ready to understand the perspective, the policy direction, and adjust as fit or as required.
Talking about development and talking about the world of work, we know that when we talk about work now in the 21st century, we're talking about digitalization. It means that you don't necessarily have to be physically present at the workplace for you to work effectively. And I remember during COVID, you said we should be a better normal, and which means that it should be better welfare for workers despite the situation we find ourselves in. What is ILO's recommendation towards ensuring that decent work is prioritized in this particular situation, whereby we have flexibility of workplace taking over the regular maybe 9 to 5 job?
Well, I think we don't necessarily have a very specific recommendation or an official one, but clearly it's not a top-down approach. Each country at the national level or each major corporation has to analyze its own situation and decide accordingly. But clearly we all know that the traditional way very likely will have to change more and more as we go in this digital world. So on one hand, you can have companies, and we have seen a lot of companies since the end of COVID, a lot of companies are deciding to be fully back on that. But at the same token, we also see companies that are allowing the employees to telework or to be flexible enough. The bottom line for me, I think, is important, particularly moving forward with the new generation, to ensure a better balance, work-life balance. I'm trying to see to what extent we can keep the quality of life and the, for each one of us, it's a matter of having a minimum quality of life. At the same token, the importance of moving forward in terms of economic growth, job creation, all of that together. So,
big on social justice. What should be our take home about social justice generally? Vis-a-vis one of the high points of your visit to Nigeria, which was the discussion about adjudication and arbitration process. So can you just summarize what your view is in total?
When you talk about social justice, we're talking about the importance of giving every citizen equal opportunity to life. So then everybody can decide on the basis of merit, but to have that opportunity, the equal opportunity. For us, it's important looking at that in a very positive manner, but trying to see what could we do while we keep the economic growth there, but we also ensuring that that economic growth does not prevent reducing the equality. Because let's face it, and that is in our Philadelphia Declaration, poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere. So the more we can fight against inequality, the better it is for everybody. Specifically the case of adjudication and arbitration, you see, we are fundamental for that. ILO, we talk about social dialogue, we talk about preventing crisis. In fact, this is what it is about. And I do believe that conflict prevention in general, but particularly labor conflict prevention, is something, it pains me to see when the workers has to go out for a picket on that. It pains me to see workers being on strike, honestly speaking. Nobody gains when you have strike. So, and I also know that the trade unions, they will really do the very best to avoid the strike, and that the strike is the last resort, right? So the more we will have institution, for example, the institution that brings together the three parts, the government, the trade union, the employers, in a continuous dialogue, the better it is for everybody, so that we can agree on an agenda, then we can see progress being made.
There's a lot that we'll still have to discuss after now, maybe to be a tele-interview. But for now, we actually have to make it a wrap. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching.